Welcome back everyone to a very special episode of The Road Chose Me. We are just driving away from the Mount Dare Hotel, setting out to cross the Simpson Desert on the Madigan Line. So we've just loaded up with all the fuel we can carry. We've got more water and food on board than I ever have before. And we think we're gonna be out in the desert for about 7 to 10 days. This is going to be epic. Join us as we cross the Simpson Desert on the Madigan Line. So the first 100 kilometres, I believe, is kind of on a bumpy gravel road, and it takes us to Old Andado Station. And the history of this old cattle station is absolutely incredible. I'll show you what the road looks like as we get there, our first couple of hours on the road today, and then let's walk around the old station and see what interesting stuff we can find. So here we are, we've arrived at Old Andado Station, and this place is utterly incredible. The road so far has been perfectly fine. Those jerry cans on the roof have not moved a millimetre, which I'm really happy about. But Old Andado Station, so the history here is incredible. A husband and wife came out here in, I think, the late 1800s and decided to make a go of having a cattle station out here. So I'm surrounded right now by red sand dunes. I don't know if you can see in the distance. We're kind of like, I guess this is the very edge of the desert. From here, we're gonna start cresting all the dunes. So they built this station out here and they lived out here, kind of battling the land. Unbelievable. Before the roads existed, talk about tough and endurance. And the story gets really crazy. They had 3 sons here. The husband died in a plane accident here on the station, and then 2 of the sons were killed in accidents. And then the mother, the wife, she lived here, Molly, all by herself for many, many years, and has been awarded certain medals because of her bravery and because of her spirit of living out here in the middle of nowhere. And the old homestead is perfectly intact. There's still teacups on the table, there's the old radio equipment, the old fridges, everything is here. So absolutely, if you're ever in this area, get to Old Andado Station. Absolutely amazing. And they've been working on it in recent years. You can actually camp here, there's water, you can have a shower. We are not going to camp here today. It's still only midday. We're going to push on to at least Camp 1 on the Madigan Line. We'll see what comes next, probably some sand dunes. So here we are, we have arrived in Madigan Camp 1A. And as you just saw, I pulled down one of the jerry cans and topped the Jeep off. So been driving really cautiously, really slowly with all that weight on the roof. And the Jeep said it's been getting 14 litres per 100, which I'm pretty happy with given that tyres were at 30 PSI. And so doing the math, we've done 180 kilometres. We've probably used about 24 litres, 26 litres. So I put in a full jerry, the whole 20 went in. It only kind of just went in. So I'd say that's enough. I maybe could get another one down and try to squeeze 5 more in, but I feel like that's a recipe for splashing it out and getting it all over myself. And so you can see this is what the Madigan camps look like. Excuse me, there's a fly in my nose. Haven't really talked much about the flies yet in Central Australia, but give you an idea, this is kind of what they look like. But yeah, Madigan Camp 1A, this is not one of his original camps. And so his original camps, Camp 1, 2, 3, and 4, they go up into what is now Aboriginal tribal land. And so they ask you not to visit. So there's kind of a detour here. You get to this camp called 1A, and then we're gonna cut across and go straight to Camp 5 tomorrow. And so this is what you get when you're camping on the Madigan. Obviously there's nothing, nobody, no facilities, no services. There is, however, this nice big sand dune right here behind us, just out the back of camp. So I feel like I'll have to go for a walk up that at some point. And Katie and I are both feeling a bit under the weather. As of this morning, we both kind of have a sore throat, we both have a headache, kind of achy. So I guess we picked up a cold in Alice Springs when we were just there for a few days. And so Katie's having a lie down. I reckon I might as well, just to escape the flies. They do go away when the sun goes down. And I do have a face bug net that I could wear, but my philosophy on that is I try to last as long as I can without wearing it, because then when I'm desperate and I really, really want that relief from the flies, I put it on and I feel a million times better. So for now, I'll probably climb into the swag. But yeah, Jeep went really well today, just slow and smooth. I had 30 PSI in because we haven't even gone over any dunes yet, nothing soft. And I've just gone down to 26 in the front and about 28 in the rear, just to try and smooth out the corrugations a bit. But of course I'm playing the game. I want to get the best fuel mileage that I can, but also keep it a little bit smooth. So, Madigan Camp 1A, I reckon we're gonna wait until after the sun goes down and cook dinner. Until then, rest time. Good morning everyone. Here we are, morning of day 2 on the Madigan Line, and we've just packed up camp here. We're getting ready to hit the road. And you can see the flies have gotten a lot worse. That's why I have the net on my face. And so Katie and I both had a really rough night last night. We've got really bad aches and pains. We're kind of getting the chills. Both of us have a really sore throat and a mean headache. And so then we thought, hang on a minute, this sounds kind of familiar, like we've read about this before. So I just took a COVID test and I have COVID. So here we are doing the biggest desert crossing of my life and we've got COVID. So this is obviously not good. And we're just having a bit of a discussion right now about whether we should even keep going, whether we should stay here and rest for the day and see how we feel, or maybe we should even go back so that we can rest and recuperate, you know, back in civilization a little bit, just in case it gets worse. Katie and I are both triple vaccinated, so the symptoms I don't think are going to be too severe. But, you know, I'm expecting quite a bit of fatigue. I'm expecting to feel pretty terrible for the next 5 days. So do I want to be driving across the Madigan while I feel that bad? On the other hand, we're already here. We've already got all our food and all our water and all of that stuff. So let's just see how we go, see how we feel. I think we're going to push on. We're going to take it easy and maybe have a shorter day today and do a lot of resting. And we'll keep you updated with how we feel. But obviously it's a beautiful, beautiful spot and we're just trying to enjoy it as best as we can. are, Madigan Camp 7. We've been pushing on today, and you've seen what the track looked like. We are starting to cross sand dunes. We must have crossed about 100 by now, but so far the sand has been really firm. I'm just in high range four-wheel drive. The Jeep isn't even getting any wheel spin. But I did read that from here on, the sand is going to get softer and the dunes are going to get steeper. So I've just aired down a little bit more again. So I'm just, again, playing that game of I want to get good traction, but I don't want to ruin the fuel consumption. And the Jeep says now that it's burning 16 litres per 100. So still really good on fuel consumption, still way, way better than everything that I calculated for. So in terms of how much fuel we have, I think we have a lot. So we're going to push on. Obviously, this is not the greatest place to camp given there is zero shade. So we're going to push on to Madigan Camp 8 for the night. We have about another 25 kilometres to go, I think, and see what that looks like when we get there. Good morning, everyone, and here is our campsite last night. So that was the night of day 2. Now we're starting the morning of day 3. And Katie and I both had a very rough night last night. We are not feeling very well. Katie has a really bad cough. My symptoms have changed a bit. My mad headache has gone away. Now I'm kind of like all nasal congested. All things considered, given that it's coronavirus, it's not that bad. I guess being vaccinated really is helping. So we don't have much choice. We're just going to soldier on. It's all we can do. When we arrived yesterday afternoon, I lowered the air pressures down another 2 psi all around. So now I'm down to 20 all around. I think it'll just make it a bit easier climbing up some of these dunes. And I got all of the fuel off the roof is now in the Jeep. So there's no weight on the roof anymore, which I'm really happy about. And that was the plan all along, get it off the roof as early as possible. So we are at, we're not at Madigan Camp 8 actually. 8 is a few kilometres back, but it was just kind of this barren wasteland, and we came a little bit further here we're a bit further east from 8. And you can see this beautiful spot in the trees. We're kind of nestled down between 2 dunes. So we went up last night on top of that dune right there and we watched the moon rise. It was gorgeous. And then this morning sunrise was beautiful as well. And you can see it's really clouded over, it's overcast. And it did actually rain the tiniest bit last night, 1 or 2 little drops. So once again, we keep our record of always getting rain in the desert. Pretty incredible out here in the Simpson. And so now we just continue on. I expect the dunes to get bigger from this point. The sand's going to be softer. So it should just get more and more interesting as we continue further east from Camp 8. Who knows how far we'll make it today. We're both exhausted. Maybe we'll have a shorter day because we've done a couple of long ones. We've got plenty of food and plenty of water up our sleeves. So come with us as we continue on the Madigan Line. So we've stopped here on top of one of the sand dunes to celebrate a bit of a milestone. We are exactly halfway along the Madigan Line. So we've done 366.5 kilometres, which is halfway. Obviously we've done the easier half, so fuel consumption's been good. We've been travelling fast. Now we're really slowing down. So it's taken us 3 hours this morning to travel about 45 kilometres. So we're going way slower now. The Jeep says it's burning 19 litres 100, but I bet that's more like 20 or 25 in the last couple of hours. So you can see the dunes here. We go up a dune like this about every couple of 100 yards or so. You can see into the distance there where the next dune, and often there's like 2 or 3 smaller ones before there then is like a much larger one that is more significant, like we're on top of right now. And this is what the desert looks like. There is nothing out here. There is nobody out here. We haven't seen a single other vehicle. We haven't heard anything on the radio. We are all alone out here, except for the wild camels. So yesterday we did see a herd of 8 camels kind of in the distance. Wasn't quick enough with the camera. But here you can see on the track, these are camel tracks in the sand. And so they obviously use the road to travel. And so we followed them for quite a while at different times. And further up now, we're approaching Madigan Camp 10 right now, I think. We stopped at 9 for a quick break. There was nothing there. But I think Camp 11 or Camp 12, it has like a salt pan. And if there's water there, there's a good chance there'll be camels around. And then we heard there's even a dingo that hangs around 13. So we'll see what comes. For now, our mission is just to continue on slow and steady, creeping up and over every dune. And I've been really surprised. This is the downside of the dune, and you can tell it's quite smooth and quite easy going. But on the upside, the dunes have really, really been torn up. They're extremely chopped up and lumpy. And so we're just going literally as slow as the Jeep will take us. And now that we're down to 20 PSI in all the tires, it's having no trouble at all just walking up the dune. So we're not getting any wheel spin. We're not having to rev hard. We really are just going walking speed on the way up, slow and steady, no problem at all. And this is what it looks like out here in the Simpson on the Madigan Line. Simply breathtaking. Hard to believe that it looks like this for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. Nothing at all out here. So as you just saw, we've set up camp here for the night at the end of day 3. We are just past Camp 13. That was really open and barren and nothing there. This spot at least has a little tree, and we're trying to get the swag out of the wind. It's actually quite windy. There's a little bit of rain on the horizon. We've had the odd drop today. And you can see I'm rugged up. It's actually, I feel cold. It's 17 degrees Celsius. Part of that's probably COVID making me have the chills and feel not so good, but it is actually cold. I bet it's going to be cold tonight overnight. So this is camp for the night. Things are going really, really well at the end of day 3. The Jeep says it's burning just over 20 litres per 100. I bet it's a bit more than that by now, but fuel consumption wise, we are styling. We have way more fuel than we needed. I guess it just hasn't been using as much as I thought it was going to. So that's really good. Also water, we've been vaguely keeping track of how much we've taken out of the main tank. We've only used 15 litres so far out of the 55 in the main tank, not even counting all of our reserve water. So water as well, we are totally styling. So everything's going fantastically well. Definitely has burned more fuel today. We covered 70 kilometres in 7 hours. And we did have a good hour for lunch there. We cooked up a real lunch. So probably our moving speed average was only less than 20 kilometres an hour, or about 10 or 12 miles an hour. So yeah, the track's been really rough and really slow going. And we've burnt that extra fuel, so I'm gonna load yet another jerry can into the Jeep, because the main tank in the Jeep is as low as it can possibly be. So even the jerry cans that are in the back of the tub, the sooner I get those into the main tank, the better. Get that weight as low as possible. And then basically we get to hang out at camp. Both of us are exhausted once again, still feeling really not good thanks to COVID. And the flies, they're not too bad here because of the wind, I guess. There's a couple around, but hopefully they don't really find us. Hopefully they don't get much worse. This is it. we're going to relax. I might even lie down and read a book after I've finished my jobs for the afternoon, and we'll see what's on the menu for dinner later on. Good morning everyone, and welcome to day 4 on the Madigan Line. Here I am, I've just hiked up the last sand dune we drove over, and so this is sunrise above camp behind me now, and you can see the clouds have cleared out, the wind really died down overnight. And I have to say, this might be the quietest place I've ever been in my whole life. We've not heard a single plane, obviously no vehicles, no people, nothing on the radio. There is just silence out here. We did hear some dingoes howling in the distance 2 nights ago. Other than that, we basically haven't heard any noise at all. Absolutely incredible. I'm loving the isolation out here. I'm loving how far away from everyone else we are. That was my goal all along in doing the Madigan Line, and it is definitely paying off. And one thing I've been surprised about though is there is more life out here than I would have thought. So however far in front of us the vehicle in front is, whether it's days or weeks, I don't know, but there's lots of tracks covering their tire tracks. So camels, dingoes, lizards, snakes, all of that kind of stuff. And then even when I walk back in the mornings, there's actually lots of animal tracks covering our own tire tracks just from 12 hours ago. And so right here on the ground, we've got these little ones, tiny ones in the sand. These I think are grasshoppers. This one over here could be a bird or some other kind of grasshopper. There's always lots of kind of beetle tracks, lots of lizards, stuff like that. And I'm sure if I walked far enough, I'd find either dingo or camel on top of our own tire tracks. So it's kind of interesting. There is more wildlife around here than I would have thought. But so far we have not seen a single emu or a single kangaroo. And I'm told that's fairly normal. They basically don't live out here. Whether they can't or whether the camels have driven them out, I'm not too sure. But yeah, look at this. Just breathtaking. Really hard to take in how stunning this is. Absolutely, I dreamed of coming out here to the desert, and this is what I dreamed of. After a couple of hours driving this morning, we've reached Madigan Camp 15, and something very exciting here. Before we get onto that though, I realized I haven't shown you guys yet. There are these official markers at each of the camps. So it says CT Madigan 1939 Expedition, location of Camp 15, and it was added by Gwen Correra, Outback Adventures, in July of 1994. And so there's been a post like this at each of the official Madigan camps, I guess just commemorating exactly where he camped as he moved along with his camels. But our really exciting part for the day, check this out. It's actually been 3 or 4 days since we saw this. This is where we just came from. That is the Madigan Line. And we could actually turn right and go that way, or we could turn left and go that way. It's kind of incredible. There's a T intersection. This is the first intersection we've seen in days. Katie was saying we should use our turn signal, see if it still works. So what we've actually reached here is called the Hay River Track. And this track runs north-south in the Simpson. We're kind of over, like, getting close to the eastern edge of the Simpson now. And this is a bit of an easier track to drive. Because all the dunes here run north to south, we've basically been crossing every single one of them because we're driving east. But if you drive north-south, you can stay in a valley between dunes. And so my understanding that the Hay River Track, it doesn't really cross any dunes, so it's way easier. And you can see there's actually trees here. First time we've seen like decent sized trees in a while as well. And I guess that is because this valley is following the Hay River. Of course, when we say river in Australia, this is usually what we mean. But I guess there is some water underground here, or at the right time of year, maybe there is a small amount of water. And so to continue, what we would do is go south on the Hay River track here for 10 or 15 kilometers or whatever it is. And then we go east again on the Madigan Line. So we take a bit of a like jag to get across to where the Madigan goes. But there's something to the north of us that actually we're excited to check out. And because we have way more fuel than I thought we were going to need, I'm pretty sure we have plenty, we're not going to run out. We're actually going to go north for about 8 or 7 kilometers to check out something that I'm a bit excited about. So come along with us, let's venture up the Hay River track, actually in the wrong direction, and see what we find. So what we've driven to here is an Aboriginal midden, which is kind of evidence of the Aboriginals that used to live and trade in this area. So the Hay River track was a real trading route, and lots of people were moving up and down. And the Aboriginal culture in Australia, it is the world's oldest surviving culture. So pretty incredible how long this has been going on. But what we see here, people have sort of collected, there's obviously lots of different rock around that were used for different purposes. So maybe some of these sharp ones were going to be spearheads, or even that could be a knife, things like that. And you'll notice that all of the rocks, they're all different type, and none of these are from the desert. So these have all been traded from who knows where in Australia, who knows how many days walk away, maybe weeks or months. Here's even a grinding stone where obviously food or flour was ground up. And so you can imagine, you know, people trading with other people from thousands and thousands of kilometers away coming to this area, or using this trading route to travel from north to south. And this is evidence of that. And here, kind of littered all over the ground, is all the artifacts of the Aboriginal culture that thrived in this area. Really, really incredible when you think about the desert we've just come through, how barren it is, but people survived here and they did really well. They thrived, in fact. Join us next week when our epic crossing of the Simpson Desert continues. We venture further into the wilderness, we cross more sand dunes, and have more adventures.